Hello everyone, this is the first lesson recording for August 18, 2020, IM1. To start off with, please have your notebook or binder ready and some pencil. You're going to need that. What's the goal for today? We are going to be reviewing topics, integer operations, exponents, and order of operations. So integer operations, you should have been watching the Edpuzzle videos and attempting the worksheet and the Khan Academy. And hopefully it will be just a review for you, as well as exponents and order of operations. I believe you have covered this in the middle school, but we will go through it again. So by the end, I want you to have a better sense of what the answer is when you're doing integer operations before doing the computations. Okay, so is the number going to get bigger or more positive, or is the number going to become less positive or more negative or smaller, we can say. Okay, another thing we're going to be thinking about is what are the situations I tend to mess up. So reflection in math is a key thing. So make sure that you are correctly reflecting accurately so that you are able to make sure that you do not make the same mistakes again. Okay? And then lastly, we want you to be able to take a picture of your work and submit it through Canvas. So we're going to go through all those skills today. So let's get started with the integer math or integer arithmetic. So we are going to start off by comparing 4 different operations. We are all starting with -5 here. -5, -5, -5 here. Okay, but first number we are subtracting -3, or subtracting 3 I should say. The second expression is we're adding 3 to -5, and then third is adding -3, and then lastly it's subtracting -3. Okay, so let's think about how they are different and what is going to happen. So hopefully you've watched the Edpuzzle video and you've seen the bird analogy, and we're going to use that same thing. But what is happening to -3? We're subtracting 3 from it, subtracting a positive number 3. Okay, so we're starting with -5, but because we are subtracting, where is the birdie going to be facing? It's going to be facing to the left, or the negative direction, where the numbers are going to get smaller. Okay, so the birdie is facing to the left, the negative direction, and because we're subtracting a positive number, it's going to hop 3 units to the left because it's going to go forward. Okay, so if we are subtract or add is going to tell us which direction the birdie is going to face, and whether the number that we're subtracting, if it's positive, we're going to go forward. So forward from the direction it's facing, and we're going to go that direction by 3, and you're going to be ending up with -8, right? So notice that the number became more negative. We started with -5 and it became more negative, became -8. So, or we can say the number has decreased. Let's do -3 plus 3. Okay, what is being done to -5 here? Well, we're adding a positive number. So we're adding +3. So in this case, when you add, the number is always going to get bigger, or it's going to become more positive. So the birdie is going to be facing to the positive direction. Okay, and because we are adding a positive number, the birdie is going to go forward 3. If we are adding a negative number, the birdie is going to go backwards. Okay, but we're adding a +3, so the birdie is going to go forward by 3 units, and you are going to be left with -2. So the answer is -2, and notice what happens. We started off with -5, but it became more positive. The answer became more positive. Why? Because we added a positive number. So the value actually increased or became more positive. What about this? -3 plus -3. Okay, so we're starting off with -3, and then from here we are adding. So the birdie is facing to the right because we are adding. We're going the positive direction. However, we are adding a negative number. So instead of going forward by 3, it's going to go backward by 3 and end up in -8. So answer is -8. And the number has become more negative or it has decreased in value. Okay, so don't think of it as -8 is a smaller number or more negative number than -5 because it's more to the left of the number line, right? Okay, lastly, what about -5? Subtract -3. So because we're subtracting, the birdie is going to be facing to the left, okay? However, we're subtracting a negative number. So instead of going forward by 3, it's going to go backward by 3 again. So it's going to be ending up in -2, which is the answer. And so the answer became more positive or it increased in value from where it started. Okay, notice where we are. Okay, see, -8 here, -8 here, -2 here, and -2 here. So when we subtracted positive number, it was the same as adding its negative of or its opposite of that number. Okay, so remember, while as this subtracting, I'm trying not to go down low because I don't want it to show that black bar. When you are subtracting a negative number, then when you see a negative sign right next to negative, then it is just like changing it to positive. Okay, so that means let's take some notes on this, summarizing what we just discovered, that subtracting a positive number here, we're subtracting a positive number is same as adding its opposite. It's same as adding its opposite. Opposite of 3 is -3. So this and this is equivalent, right? Another observation you should have made is that when you see two negative signs right next to each other, so here you have negative, negative here, right? This one, the first one is telling us to subtract, and this -3 tells me that the number is actually negative. So when you see two negative right next to each other, then you can change both of them, not just one of them, both of them to positive, okay? This is very different from when you see two negatives right here. The two negatives here, they are separated by a number. There is a number in between. So that's not what we're talking about. When we're talking about when you see a negative number minus or subtract negative number, so negative, negative together right next to each other, then you can change both of them to positive, positive. Okay? So -5 minus -3 was same as -5 plus 3. So those are two observations you should have made. Okay, and then let's move on to some other observations. So now that we know, let's generalize this. When you see addition, we can sort of summarize it as addition and subtraction of positive and negative numbers. So what is the operation between the two numbers? If it's addition, here -5 plus 3, that's an addition, and the third one is -5 plus -3, that's an addition, right? So if that is an addition, then are the two numbers that we're adding, are they the same in signs? Are they like signs? Well, here -5 and -3, they are same in sign. In that case, we just need to add the two numbers, 5 and 3. So 5 and 3 becomes 8. And the final answer sign is the same sign as the number. So they were both negative to begin with. So it's going to become -8. Okay. What if they have different signs? In this case, we were adding, so we're still addition, but the signs were different because we're -5 is being added to +3. They were different. In that case, you just look at the two values of the numbers and you subtract them or find the difference of it. 5 minus 3 is going to be 2. Okay, and then for the final answer sign, the sign of it is going to come from which number was bigger? Was it -5 or 3? 5 is a bigger number than 3, and to it there was a negative sign attached to it. So the final answer is going to be -3, just like here. Okay. Now, when you are dealing with subtractions like -5 minus or subtract 3, or the very last one, -5 subtract -3, they're both subtractions, right? I would like you to think of it, because we know that subtraction is same as adding its opposite. Okay, so I want you to change it to addition of its opposite. And then you evaluate, do they have like signs? Are the signs same or different? And you basically go through the same process as here. And the signs are exactly going to be the same. Okay, so this is a quick summary diagram of what you should be doing. But really, more than anything else, don't try to learn this. More than anything else, go back to the number line and try to understand what you're doing. Okay, so then let's go on to integer multiplication. Okay, so we're dealing with 2 times 3, or -2 times 3, or 2 times -3, and -2 times -3. So we're dealing with 2 and 3, but the signs are different. Okay, how do they change? Well, 2 times 3, we know that it's just a repeated addition of 2 being added 3 times. 2 plus 2 plus 2. That's what it means. Or you can think of it as 3 being multiplied twice. Or 3, there's two groups of 3. So 3 plus 3, which is both of them, is going to be 6. What about this? Well, with the same logic, this is just a repeated addition of -2 3 times. So it's going to be -2 plus -2 plus -2, which is -6. Okay, what about this one? 2 times -3. Well, it's kind of hard to think of 2 being, there are -3 groups of 2. But however, we do know that multiplication is commutative. By that I mean, like, you know that 10 times 2 is same as 2 times 10, right? So I can just swap this and say that it's -3 times 2. It's the same as that, which is basically a repeated addition of -3 twice, which just becomes -6. What about this -2 times -3? This is a little less intuitive, and if you truly want to know, you can come see me and I can explain to you some of the logic behind it. But basically at this point, you just need to remember that a negative number times negative number is going to get you a positive result. And you just need to multiply the two numbers to get the values. And same thing here. 2 times 3 is going to be 6. But because they have the same signs, it's just going to be positive. In contrast, when the signs are different, negative times positive or positive times negative, the answer is going to be negative number. You still just need to multiply the two numbers to get the 6 and 6, but the answer, the final answer is going to have a negative sign to it, attached to it. To summarize, you should know that positive times positive is positive, positive times negative is negative, or negative times positive is negative, but negative times negative is positive. I am sure you have all heard this. And the same version for division, likewise. Okay, so multiplication and division, they are closely related and they follow the same pattern. Just so that to just make it all fun, another way to remember it is when good things happen to good people, that's good, right? When happy face, good people, good things happen to good people, then that's good. While as when good things happen to bad people, then that's bad. Or when bad things happen to good people, well, that's bad too. Or when bad things happen to bad people, that's good. I am certainly not advocating this as a life principle, but this is just a fun way to learn, okay? So let's see. Okay, I'm going to call it off here, and I will continue in the second lesson recording.